Hello students, welcome in our today's session. Actually today's session is the later part of our earlier section, in which in our earlier section we had talked about a brief intro of the poet and about the poem also. And as you know, the title of our poem is Telephone Conversation, which is written by Wole Soyinka, who is Nigerian and poet, is a renowned African poet in English. So here, as you know, the poem Telephone Conversation is written by Wole Soyinka, who is a renowned African writer in English, and this poem exposes the presence of racial discrimination at the individual level in the society, even after the passing of so many laws against it. So the poem is a conversation between a white woman and a black man over the telephone. The poet can capture here the essence of human interaction across racial differences. This piece of literature becomes more significant here as it presents both the attitude of the white woman towards black people and the black man's anger towards this racial discrimination. So now come to the text of this poem, where I will be reading for you the text of this poem, and simultaneously we will also deal with the meaning or the literary analysis of this poem. Here we are. So I am reading for you. Please pay attention. The price seemed reasonable, location indifferent. The landlady swore she lived off premises. Nothing remained but self-confession. Madam, I want. I hate a wasted journey. I am African. So here in the very first line, the speaker is talking about the location or the price of the house to about which he is sharing his views, that it seemed to him that like a good price, and the location was also fine for him. The location of the house was also fine for him. And then he said that the landlady swore she lived off premises, that the landlady also promised to him that she didn't live in the building itself. She lived off premises, means she didn't live in the building itself. And after knowing this, the speaker is quite content, he is quite satisfied, and it seems that he is now planning to fix his the agreement while booking for this apartment. And after knowing this thing, that the landlady is not staying in the premises, actually she leaves, she doesn't live in the building. So the only thing left for him to confess the important thing about himself, when he says that nothing remained but self-confession. So here the only thing left was to confess to the speaker, which is something about himself. That is what it is, that he says that, Madam, I won't. I hate a wasted journey. I am African. So it seems that he just wants to warn that landlady that he doesn't want to waste a trip over there. So just so it is quite important or necessary for the landlady also, that she should also know about him, that he is an African, he is a black man. So very first, in the very first 5 lines of this poem, actually the speaker actually brings up the issue of race from the very beginning of this poem. So here is a black man who is looking for a room for rent, and he finds an offer at a reasonable price in the advertisement on newspaper or some magazines. So he makes a phone call to the landlady of the property, and he confesses that he is a black man. So from very beginning, he himself confesses that he is a black man. So the opening line shows that the black man is aware of the double standards which are prevailing in the society. So he makes a phone call to confirm if the room is truly available for a black man. So it also reveals that the black man has had bitter experiences in his own past life. He must have believed that no difference point in the advertisement, and must have approached the landowners. So they should have refused him after coming to know that he is a black man. So it seems that from the very outset he wants to clear everything before the landlady, that otherwise to move a kind of controversy or some kind of misunderstanding might not create between them. So he wants to clear each and everything from the very beginning. And after that, what happened when the speaker has revealed his actual identity in front of the landlady? After then, what will be the reaction of the other side of what will be the reaction of the landlady? So the speaker, he explains, he describes the situation like this. I am reading for you. Silence, silenced transmission of pressurized good breeding. So after then, what happened? When the speaker has already revealed his actual identity in front of the landlady, then there was a complete silence on the phone. So in that silence, the speaker could hear the tension between the landlady's prejudice and her manners. That the line silenced transmission of pressurized good breeding. So this line actually shows that the speaker can sense a kind of tension between the landlady's prejudices and her good breeding, means her mannerism or her manners, when the speaker says that the phrase has been used by the poet here, that pressurized good breeding. So actually that silence, it describes the reaction of the landlady when she hears the confession from the side of a black man. When she comes to know that a speaker is a black man, she goes totally silent. She does not reveal her true dislike and disapproval for black people. The poet says that the lady is like the so-called white people of good breeding, and these people call themselves educated and therefore decent. So they do not speak out against black people, but they continue to harbor racial prejudice towards black people. So the black man here can stereotype the white landlady just by hearing her voice over the telephone, and after then what he imagines, voice when it came, lipstick coated, long gold rolled, cigarette holder piped, coat I was folly. So after then the speaker, he imagines that the voice came lipstick coated. So he imagines that her lips must be painted red with lipstick, long gold rolled cigarette holder pipe, and she must be smoking and using a gold tinted cigarette lighter. So the poet reveals that both white and black people show prejudice because they tend to stereotype people. So here the speaker is explaining that when after knowing the real thing, the landlady, she finally spoke, and she sounded like that the kind of a person who wearing a thick smear of lipstick and have long gold coated cigarette holder in her mouth. And now what will be the reaction of that landlady? In the next line the speaker is mentioning the thing like here, the poet actually uses here capital words, English letters. What he says, how dark, I had not misheard, are you light or very dark? So when the speaker got stuck in terrible position, or the landlady also was stuck in a terrible position, that when he asked bluntly, how dark are you? So it took a second to realize that the speaker hadn't misheard her, and she repeated again in the next line, are you light skinned or very dark skinned? Are you light or very dark? So the speaker here says that the landlady seems to be very careful while not using the taboo word black. Instead, she asks an indirect question on the degrees of darkness, that the level of degree of darkness of the color of skin. To the black man, it appears as if he is asked to make a choice. He wonders if what he could do. In the next line he says, button B, button A stands, a frenzied breath of public hide and speed, red booth, red pillar box, red double tired omnibus, squelching tar. So the speaker here wonders that if he should press button A or button B in the telephone dial pad, so much like he would do to choose a language over an automated call. These lines in the poem expose the hypocritical nature of white individual in society. So the speaker, it was like she was asking to the speaker something as simple as choosing between button A and button B on the telephone booth to make a call or to return his coins. So he said that of rancid breath of public height and speed. It seems to him that he could smell her rancid breath hiding beneath her polite speech. And the red booth, red pillar box, red double-tired omnibus squelching tar. It was real, same. So the speaker, who becomes very much aware of his surroundings, where he could see there was a red phone booth, a red mailbox, a red double-decker bus. So it tires squelching through the hot asphalt. So this kind of thing actually happens with the speaker, and he could sense that in these lines that the reaction of the black man on hearing the landlady's question, he can smell the bad breath of hypocrisy. Actually, the white people who hide their racial discrimination in public, but they practice it in private. This double standard behavior angers the black man, and he says red in his eyes. The telephone booth, the pillars, the bus passing by all appear red to him. But the black man also agrees that the landlady should be considered polite, as when she was considerate of putting the question gently. However, the black man looks at such racial discrimination as oppressing. He compares it with that double-decker omnibus squelching the black tar on the road, squelching the black tar on the road. So in the next line, the speaker expresses his feelings in this way. I am reading for you. It was real, shamed by ill-mannered silence, surrender, pushed dumbfounded to beg simplification. And in the next line, the speaker actually could not believe whether the reaction was real, so he expresses with exclamation the remark that it was real. So he could sense that all kind of things actually happens with him. So feeling ashamed at his rude silence, he asked, utterly confused and shocked, for further clarification, that when she here we in the textual line, that by ill-mannered silence, surrender, pushed dumbfounded to beg simplification, means here the speaker, the black man here, who wants to beg for more simplification, for more clarification from the side of landlady, that when she says in the next line, when he says that considerate she was, wearing the emphasis, are you dark or very light? Are you dark or very light? Revelation came. So in the next line, when the landlady was nice enough to sweep around the order of the words in the question, that are you dark skinned, she asked, or very light. So finally it made sense to him that when she wants to clear to know about the actual color of his skin. So he willingly, black man, he tries to explain in the next line about the actual color of his skin, that he shows that considerate she was, wearing the emphasis, are you dark or very light? And on asking this, the black man replies to the landlady. What he replies? He says that, you mean like plain or milk chocolate? You mean like plain or milk chocolate? Her accent was clinical, crushing in its light impersonality. The black man here tries to explain that when these lines actually shows that he's actually he tells to her that he's black indirectly. He wants to tell him that he is West African, and he wants to clear to the landlady that on asking what he conveys to the lady, he replied that, are you asking if my skin is the color of regular chocolate or milk chocolate? So ironically, his reply come in this way. Actually, her confirmation was detached and formal. When she wants to confirm the actual level of his skin color, so actually her confirmation was detached and formal and devastating in how thoughtless and impersonal she sounded. So on her asking, the speaker quickly changed his tactic, and he chose an answer that, I chose West African sepia, and as afterthought, down in my passport, silence for spectroscopic, flight for fancy, till truthfulness cleansed her assent, hard on the mouthpiece. What's that? Conceding. So after that, the speaker quickly changed his tone, and he chose an answer. What could be his answer? So what he says, my skin color is West African sepia. And then as an afterthought, he added that at least it is in my passport. Then there was silence again. And the speaker, he says that while the black man says that he is not completely black, that the landlady willingly calls brunette is dark. So here the black man actually describes about himself. He tells that he is a West African. In a way, he is also not ready to use the word black, the actual word black, but he tells her that he is black indirectly when he says that West African sepia, and it is also mentioned in his passport also. So this expression of the black man reveals how he hesitates to declare himself black even though he is ready to confess that he is an African. He brings this terminology used also in his passport as evidence and support. So this shows that he is also not ready to accept and numerous bitter experiences of racial discrimination must have made the black man vary in terms of his life experiences. And after then, what happened? He says that hard on the mouthpiece. What's that? Conceiting. Don't know what's that is, like brunette. So the speaker, the black man, says that don't know what it is. It is like brunette. And after then the landlady says, that's dark, isn't it? Not altogether. Facially I am brunette, but madam, you should see the rest of me. Palm of my hand, soles of my feet are a peroxide blonde. Friction caused foolishly, madam, but sitting down has turned my bottom raven black. One moment, madam. So, in these lines, the poet shows that how different shades of the black man's color are being discussed here. While the black man says that he is not completely black, the landlady willingly calls brunette as dark. The black man tries to explain that the palms of his hands and the soles of his feet are not black. Actually, the palms and soles of his feet are not black, but the landlady is not ready to listen to him. Then when she says, that's dark, isn't it? For further explanation, he says that the rest of me, palm of my hand, soles of my feet are a peroxide blonde. Friction caused foolishly, madam, by sitting down has turned my bottom raven black. So the black man here tries to explain that the palms of his hands and the soles of his feet are not black, and even then the lady is not ready to listen to him. Then for further clarification, the black man comes up with a poor excuse that for sitting for a long time is the reason for the blackness of his backside. So he is even ready to come up with a reason for his black ears. This shows how the black man is desperate to get a room for rent. He is made to apologize for being black. So the color of his skin has become the parameter for his for getting a room for rent for him. So he is actually made to apologize for being black, and he is forced to endure the shame of his color. And that kind of double standard is are prevailing in the society. So that is something which troubles him, which makes him angry, and he feels unable to find a good location for him. And when he says that he is a West African sepia, then there was silence again on the side of that woman, and her true feelings actually took over, and she spoke harshly into the phone when she says that, what is that? She asked admittingly, I don't know, what is that? It is a brunette color. The black man said that it's brunette color. I told you already. That's pretty dark, isn't it? The landlady said, that's pretty dark, isn't it? So, and the reply was of the black man. He says, my face is brunette, but you should see the rest of my body, ma'am, as my palms and my soles of my feet are the color of his blonde hair. So he wants to convey, unfortunately, ma'am, that all the friction from sitting down has made my buttocks as black as raven, the raven black. So after saying that, "One moment, madam," sensing her receiver rearing on the thunderclap about my ears. "Madam," I pleaded, "wouldn't you rather see for yourself?" So, without knowing the whole thing, when the black man, he could sense that the landlady was about to slam down the phone. He said that, "Ma'am, I begged you, I pleaded you, don't you want to know? Wouldn't you rather see for yourself? Don't you want to know, want to see for yourself?" So here, these are the concluding lines of this poem, and these lines actually describes the landlady's action and the black man's position. So when on hearing that the man is black, the landlady wants to confirm it, and on confirming the man's blackness, the lady, she wants to slam down the telephone, indicating that she is not ready to do business with the black person. So the black man confesses that he is an African, but he tells that he is not completely black. Though he is black, but he is not completely black. He describes how some of his body parts are not totally black, and as the poem comes to an end, the black man, he appears to plead for a chance that when he asked the landlady to meet him in person before coming to the decision. But what happened then? The landlady refuses any further dealing with the man. Once she finds the confirmation that he was black, he was an African man. So with this, we have come to the conclusion of this poem, that the landlady, she doesn't want to have a black man as her tenant. And so if we go to the whole idea behind this poem, that here, so in short, while going to the summary of this poem, in the poem where Wallace Soyinka, who talks about that there are two strangers speaking over the telephone, and it reveals that the attitudes of some people who have about others, particularly judging some people without knowing him or her personally, but by just recognizing the color of someone's skin. So I hope you have understood the whole poem, where the meaning or the central idea behind this poem, where we find that there is an African man whose arrival at the phone booth that makes him to call a landlady, and the price of the room and the location and the other essential are agreeable to him. And during the course of this dialogue, the man gets to know that about the premises of that building. The moment comes when the man makes up his mind to consider the offer. But in the midst of this conversation, he mentions that he is a black, and at the other end of the line there is nothing but silence. The first reaction of that landlady was nothing but silence, and then the African man notices the abrupt silence, and he takes it to be as an impolite gesture of refusal. And however, when the silence is soon broken, as the landlady starts to speak again. and ask him to explain exactly how dark he is. So at first, the man thinks that he might have misheard the question, but when the landlady repeats the same, he understands that it is something very important for her to know before she allows him to rent her house. So this turns to be entirely devastating for the black man, and at that moment he feels just like disgusting with the question, and he fancies himself to be a machine like a phone when he feels that he reduces to being a button on that phone. He smells the stench from that his words and sees the red color, red all around him. The idea behind the poem telephone conversation is to depict how brutal and devastating it can be for a man who is subjected to racial discrimination. The black African man here, who is reduced to shame by the sudden silence at the other side, and he gets into a stage of make-believe when he sarcastically thinks that the lady has broken her silence and has given him the option to define how black, inverted comma, that particular phrase, how dark, how he is like, so he's chocolate or dark or light, how dark he is. So then he goes on to answer that his skin color can be pictured as West African sepia, and the man replies that it is almost similar to being a dark brunette. Meanwhile, the man holds on to boards of formality, which breaks down at the landlady's insensitivity. The African man who now shouts out loud, saying that he is black, but he is not that black for anyone to be put to shame. So the idea is that he's that it is not shameful to be black in terms of skin color. He says that when he says that the soles of his feet and the palms of his rear are black as a result of friction, actually he ironically replies to that landlady. He knows that the landlady will never be convinced with his black complexion, and he senses that she might slam down the receiver anytime. At such a crucial juncture, he makes desperate and silly attempt pleading to her, requesting to her to come and take a good look at him, but could not prevent the situation from getting better. Finally, the landlady slams down the receiver on his face. Slams down the receiver on his face. So the whole poem reflects the conflict between the black and the white landlady. The poem points at the absurdity of racism, the practice of judging someone on the basis of his color, race or caste or social status instead of his inner capabilities presents the highly corrupt image of the society where individuality is at stake. So I hope you have understood the crux behind the poem and the meaning, the whole idea behind this poem. And thank you, students. This is for now.